I'll call to order the public hearing of the Board of Trustees of the Batavia Library District for November 19, 2013. Roll call, please.
I'm sorry. Dietzman?
Here.
Jakubowski? Von Lunen?
Here.
Sullivan?
Here.
Okay.
Poppet.
I know Poppet. Sorry.
Here.
Schuster here, sort of.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay. And Blodgett absent. Okay. So our only order of business during the public hearing is to conduct the public hearing regarding our levy for fiscal year 2013-2014. So I believe I'm required to read this for the record. So here we go. Public hearing on proposed property tax increase for the Batavia Public Library District. Section 1, this is a public hearing on the proposed property tax increase for the Batavia Public Library District for 2013, the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2013 and ending June 30th, 2014. 2, pursuant to the Truth in Taxation Act, the Board of Library Trustees adopted a resolution determining the amount of money estimated to be necessary to be raised by the tax levy, Resolution 2013-7, at its regular meeting on October 15. 3, in accordance with Illinois statutes, the Library District published a black-bordered Notice of Proposed Property Tax Increase for the Batavia Public Library District on Thursday, November 7th. This notice was published in the Batavia Republican newspaper. 4, that the corporate and special purpose property taxes extended or abated for 2012 were $3,207,417.99. The proposed corporate and special purpose taxes to be levied for 2013 are $3,537,000 even, which represents a 10.2756 increase over the previous year. 5, that the property taxes extended or abated for debt service and public building commission leases for 2012 were $509,417.96. The estimated property taxes to be levied for debt service and public building commission leases for 2013 are $715,800, which represents a 40.5133% increase over the previous year. 6, that the total property taxes extended or abated for 2012 were $3,716,835.95. The estimated total property taxes to be levied for 2013 are $4,252,800, which represents a 14.4199% increase over the previous year. And 7, in the published notice, persons desiring to appear at the public hearing and present testimony to the taxing district were requested to contact the library director. No one contacted the library director for this purpose. In fact, no one contacted the library director to discuss the proposed property tax increase. If there is any person who desires to present testimony to the taxing district represented by this Board of Library Trustees, please step forward at this time. Okay, seeing none, maybe it's appropriate for me to suggest for the record that the debt levy represented by Section 5 here is I guess what you might call artificially high due to some nuances in the way we abated the debt service levy in previous years and the way that needs to be counted for this year. So that number it looks high but isn't quite as egregious as it seems represented by this number. Any other comments by the board?
I have a question.
Okay.
how was the Batavia Republican newspaper chosen to be the publishing agent and the only publishing agent? Just curious.
That has been that way since before I got here. I guess we've never changed it. Throughout the course of the various things we publish each year, some go in the Republican and some go in the Chronicle. They're actually both owned by the same company now. So, but that practice was in place, and we've just never actually looked at that before.
Probably due to the circulation being within the district, as opposed to, wasting it on people outside the district.
I'm sure that was the original reason, as opposed to the Herald or the Beacon News or something like that.
Yeah, I was going to make just a further comment on that. I think that the amount of, and I may be wrong on this, but the circulation on the Batavia Republican is not nearly as widespread as the Kane County Chronicle or other newspapers, and possibly in the future maybe that should be looked at, because the Republican is delivered free to homes on Thursdays, and that's the only day of the week it's delivered.
Yeah.
And we subscribe to the Chronicle and the Daily Herald and the Tribune, and for some reason we don't get the Republican free because we subscribe to the Chronicle, I guess, or something. So it's just a point that I think you'd get more widespread notification out there if it was maybe put in another agent.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing magical about it. We could publish everything in the Chronicle.
Is the Republican online also?
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering. Like maybe we should do
I
more of a
don't
know.
social venue.
I don't know. We're required by law to actually publish it in a newspaper of general circulation. That's one of the reasons why it's published in the first place. And it's required to have a black border that's like no less than 1/8 of an inch thick around it. There's all kinds of statutory requirements.
And I may be wrong on this, but I think the Republican is only circulated once a week, and I may be completely wrong.
It is. It comes
on
out
that.
every Thursday. Like I say, part of our notices get published in the Republican and part get published in the Chronicle, but that is, that was the way it was when I got here. We just kept, we even get reminders from both newspapers, it's time for the whichever one it is. And but frankly, I'm sending it to the same person now. Because the Chronicle is owned by, they merged their legal notice departments. There's two different women, and now they're both working, they both have a Chronicle address now, so Shaw Media. So
Yeah, I'm not bringing it up to be critical, I'm bringing it up to suggest that I think for transparency's sake, we might want to look into which newspaper gets the wider circulation and opt for that as opposed to...
Well, we could also say that while that's the legal formality, there's no harm, or there's probably some benefits on transparency and publicizing it in other ways. Having it displayed here on the monitors, putting it on our Facebook page and things like that. So we can go above and beyond the law, even if even if we think that this will comply, and then do more. So.
When I first got to town, there was, and you know this man, I think his name was Joe, I can't remember his last name. He was with the Republican Central Committee. He's retired now. There's one gentleman that each year would have who apparently monitor all the papers, and each year he would call up and ask questions about that current year's levy. But when he retired from whatever position he had, that was the last conversation I've had with anybody about it. But what's the board's pleasure? I mean, we can put everything in the Chronicle. The cost probably isn't much different. It's actually several $100s to publish the darn thing.
Well, we don't have to decide now, because we don't want to have to deal with this for 11 more months. So.
No. The next thing we publish is the Treasurer's Report, and I can't even tell you which newspaper that goes in at this point. That's another statutory. There's about I want to say 5 or 6 things throughout the year that we're required to publish.
Okay. All right. Any other comments, questions?
Do you have any idea, you mentioned the difference in the abatement that we used for last year's, determining last year's and why, you know,
Right.
if somebody looks at that and sees a 40% increase, it's not going to be a 40% increase, correct? That's the numbers we have to use originally to set up the account?
Well,
It's, the reason is because of the abatement we do every January. We're required to use, for the first number, the actual amount that was levied, which was the abated amount, so that's the 509. But we're also required to use what the proposed new amount is
Without the
now,
abatement.
without the abatement, which is the 715,800. So the number will actually, I can't tell you the exact number right now, but it will be less. It won't be as much less as last year because we front loaded our abatements. We had 3 years of 150,000 approximately, and this year it's just a few $1,000s as I recall. So the percentage won't be as good as last year, but it will still be lower than what this is.
okay. Anything else? Okay. Well, despite the fact that no one showed up for the public hearing, we had plenty of discussion, so that's good. We're all concerned members of the community, just like everybody else, right? Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn from the public hearing?
I so move.
Okay. Moved by Von Lunen and second by Blodgett. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We are adjourned. Okay. And now I will call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Batavia Public Library District for November 19, 2013. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Blodgett?
Here.
Okay. Jakubowski?
Here.
Von Lunen?
Here.
Popick?
Here.
Deitchman?
Here.
Sullivan?
Here.
Schuster here.
Okay. We have a quorum. Comments from the audience. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5, which is this evening's consent agenda, consisting of minutes from August 20, expenditures from October 2013, and then action items, the ordinance levying annual taxes for fiscal year 2013-14, the subject of our public hearing from just now. An ordinance revising the regular meeting schedule for this fiscal year, which essentially cancels our December board meeting. C3 is our new strategic plan, hiring a Center for Governmental Studies at NIU to help us with that, and then the biannual review of closed sessions. Okay, would any trustee like any of these items removed for a separate vote? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I approve that we accept the consent agenda.
Okay,
Thank you.
Moved by Popick
I second.
and second by Jakubowski. Let's do a roll call, please.
Okay. Deitchman?
Yes.
Von Lunen?
Yes.
Blodgett?
Yes.
Jakubowski?
Yes.
McGuire Popick?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Schuster? Yes.
Okay, consent agenda is approved. Item 6 is approving the regular agenda for this evening. Any changes or additions to tonight's agenda? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
I so move.
Second.
Moved by Von Lunen and second by Jakubowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Our agenda is approved. Okay, financial reports for October. Joy, welcome.
Thank you. Your reports are in your packet, and I just want to report that we received our last tax payment actually on Monday, and it was the highest collections we've had in the last probably 8 or 9 years. Last year we had uncollectible taxes of about 12,000, and this year we had less than 4,200 uncollected. So we pretty much got 99 point something % of all our taxes, right? So that's good news, because I always do budget some shortfall, knowing that we won't get 100%. But we actually got a lot more than I anticipated, so that's good news.
Okay. Okay. Questions for Joy? I do have one.
Okay, go ahead.
I was looking at the special fund revenue and special fund expenditures projected for this fiscal year, and it seems like we're going to be pretty significantly over budget when those are summed together. Is that a concern, or do we have?
What are you looking at? So are you looking at the same thing we do?
So special fund revenue and special fund expenditures.
It's back in the
Okay. Yeah, most of, no, it's not a concern, because I am projecting a slight deficit in the maintenance fund, and we have a surplus. And part of the reason why I'm projecting the deficit is because of our 2 big projects that we will start the next week, which is the AV upgrade and then the refresh and, come together of the restrooms, which well needed from their wear and tear. And then there is a slight overage in our liability fund, and that's due to our package and workers' comp going up several thousand, but there again we had a surplus in that fund to begin with. And I actually anticipated a deficit in the Social Security fund because we have a surplus, and that can only be used. The only one that wasn't really anticipated most likely was IMRF, but knew about it before going into the year anyway. So that's the only one that doesn't have a surplus in its own fund. And thus far with my, I've been talking to George about it. Thus far with my projections, we'll be able to swipe some money from the general fund over to that fund to make up for that deficit. Okay. And we have a very healthy balance in the general fund surplus as well. So if we were to have a deficit overall through a transfer, we'll be okay. But the other funds I anticipated it, knowing we had a surplus.
Okay.
So.
Are there legal restrictions on how much we can levy for each of those categories?
There is a legal restriction on how much we can levy in the maintenance. We are limited by law to the 0.02, okay. And so that's 2/10 of 1% or something of our total overall EAV. And so the amount that we've been getting over the last 3 or 4 years has actually gone down because our EAV has gone down. With reassessments and housing values falling. And the other areas, it's kind of all together capped with our general fund. So if we ask for more in the audit fund or more in the IMRF fund, ultimately what's going to happen is it's still overall the whole tax cap up to, what is it, George? Our 20, whatever our rate.
Well, 25, regular,
yeah.
Our standard rate is 25 cents.
Yeah, 25 cents, and those funds are all subject to then the CPI and the tax cap. So they kind of all come together, even though I can ask for different amounts. So I can ask for more in one, and then what it's going to mean is that there's going to be another fund that I have to ask less for.
The levy allows us, or the statutes allow us to levy what we need in all those other funds. And if there wasn't a tax cap, we would just get that along with 25 cents. But the cap actually applies to everything except for the
debt service funds.
That's the only thing not covered by the tax caps, because the voters approved that.
Right.
They approved our 25 cents too, but that's still subject to the tax cap.
So most of the erosion in what we've been getting is really just seen in that maintenance fund. Because just a few years ago, we were getting well over $200,000 into that fund, and more like 220, 225, and now we're getting about 170. So yeah, that has definitely, impacted that. But we've had a surplus and we've put money aside, knowing we were going to have some big projects. And then the other, there's other funds that we have that don't show up here because we don't levy for those funds. Like our publications fund, our special reserve, our development. Those are internal funds we use for accounting purposes. We don't levy for those funds, but those funds do have money in them.
Okay. And anything else for Joy?
I'm sorry, just
That's okay.
clarification then. If we are, do I understand that we're taking some money out of some funds to put it into where funds are needed?
The board will have to have an action in May to transfer some money from the general fund to the IMRF fund. That is the only fund that we will need back. We typically always transfer money from the general fund to the special reserve, but that's just more so that we have money put aside for large capital projects that are coming down the pipe, and we've been doing that for what, 8-9 years or something like that, George?
Almost. Well, as long as I've been.
Yeah.
So you don't, there's no future ramifications for this?
No, our general fund has a very healthy balance. So even if for the year, say, we ran a deficit, we have a fund surplus in that fund. So we're going to be fine, and part of the reason we have a surplus is to have that there for future capital items and needs. Or if we don't have the problem, but like in Cook County, if like the taxes get delayed, we would never want to have to issue tax anticipation warrants. And in the history of the library, we never have. So we try to keep 2 months cash flow in our general fund. So if there was a delay in our taxes, we could pay all our general operating expenses and not have to incur any type of interest costs, which is what a tax anticipation warrant is. It's like a short-term bond. So, so we plan for things like that. So just like you try to plan for replacing your roof at home, we're trying to do that here. So then rather than having to go back and ask for more money, we have it set aside because we know there's certain things that don't come up every year. But we do have to anticipate that. We got a big building, there's going to be some repairs that we have to do.
On a year-to-year basis, some of the Social Security and the IMRF and some of the, even the liability insurance fund are budgeting, are educated guesses as part of the budgeting process. So there have been times, like in my tenure, where the balance in the insurance fund might end up, it might start building up a surplus because the rates were very good. And so then what we do to try to not have too big of a balance there, one year we might actually budget, we might under budget in that fund to bring the balance down. And then IMRF, because the rates, they set the rates for us each year, although rates actually very good for IMRF. But because of changes in personnel and things like that, sometimes we will have more than we need, sometimes we'll have less. We have less than we need. This is a less than we need year, as it turns out. And so, but to transfer money around does require a board action. So we'll present an ordinance at the end of the fiscal year so that the board can see what we're doing.
And for certain costs, like for instance, for our liability fund covers our package, our umbrella, and our workers' comp. It does not cover employee type benefit insurance costs, but I am levying for 2014-15. I won't get those premiums for that liability package until September of next year. So I'm going out a whole year, and so we've had pretty flatline rates, if not gone down, and we saw a rather sizable increase. And so I did go back to our broker and ask him to press his the underwriter to see if we could get some discounts, which we were able to, and then he did bid it out to a couple other independents. And this was the first I typically every other year go out and spend a lot of time re-quoting the insurance. I did not this year. I already warned them that next year, of course, I'll have to do that process. So it was kind of a shock. Now, it wasn't a significant amount, but it was like $4,000. But percentage-wise, it could have been close to 20. But we had a surplus in that fund, and for a few of those funds, I've been under levying on purpose because we've had that surplus and we can only use it for those things. And so by under levying certain funds, it pushes more into the general fund, which gives us more opportunity to spend dollars more across the board without a lot of restrictions. So that's kind of been our thought process.
Thank you, I appreciate the explanation.
It's confusing.
But more clear now. Thank you.
Is that it?
Anything else? Okay. Thank you, Joe. Okay. Item 8 is the President's report. And in the spirit of today's 150th anniversary of the Gettysburg Address, I'll be very brief and just thank the Foundation Board for the 3 grants that they earlier this month bestowed upon this library. So we really appreciate their ongoing support. It's essential to some of the things that we do here. And so thank you for their service on that and for their commitment to this library. Much appreciated. Okay, item 9 is good news or comments from the board. Does anyone have anything to share this evening?
George and I attended the function by Main Street this past
Oh,
week.
yes.
It was really fun. It was great to see all the community members that were there. They're very enthusiastic about what's happening in Batavia and on Main Street, and so I was glad I went.
Okay.
I thought it was in a really cool space. Does that building have a name, George? Or
They called it the dock because it was it's 150 First Street, and it was actually a dock. Originally, they run a train car in there when it was a windmill factory. Unload and load, and more recently it was used for trucks, and now they don't back them in because the trucks will block First Street. Back in the old days, they go parallel, I guess, to the building, but they roofed it over and turned into they cleaned it up, sandblasted the walls, and
it has exposed walls with a
yeah, and it's a rather unique space. I had never heard of it before last week. And Jerry Dempsey told me they had a wedding in there recently. I guess it was a wedding reception or something. And he said he couldn't believe that somebody was actually going to do that in this space. And he said it turned out to be quite lovely. So it was a very, very interesting. One of our employees, I should mention, Lou Tice, who's an active volunteer in the community. She was actually nominated for a volunteer award, both for herself, but also she's part of the House Walk Committee, and the House Walk Committee did in fact win an award, but we were nominated in the library for Best Interior, but we did not win that. I think Interiors for Business actually won that. But,
and they gave a special
that
award
makes
to Jan
sense.
Gibson also.
that's right, Jan
Which was
Gibson
very,
is
very good.
she'll be leaving
For all her
town
work.
soon, yeah. She's been very active, and she, I think, really revitalized the House Walk. She's been chairing that for
They were a very enthusiastic
Oh.
committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that committee was cheering and yelling.
Yeah, you could tell they were having fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a
Well,
nice
congratulations to Jan.
Doug, I have
Okay.
a question for George as far as the music, the library music we have down in the basement, how that's progressing with shipping out to New York.
Actually, we've had several things either shipped or picked up by truck. There was one large load that went out by truck. It's been almost 2 months now. A little snag appeared. A lot of the music that they're going to digitize is being shipped directly to San Francisco. And the company that was being shipped to has actually suffered a fire. And the business is good. It's the same internet company that runs the Wayback Machine. which is a internet site where you can actually go and find snapshots of websites going back, 10, 15, 20. And they're the leader in the industry in digitizing, and they're a partner with the archive in New York. And apparently, of course, all the things that have been digitized were safe because they're stored in the cloud someplace away. But their actual facility where they bring things into for that work was damaged, and I've gotten just a preliminary report on it. I'm waiting to hear more about what
So it's progressing.
It's called the Internet Archive. Is actually the other company. It's probably not as fast as we would have liked, but things are well boxed up. The things that they want to digitize sooner rather than later. They've got them all boxed and color coded, and certain things are actually being shipped out by express service. And then they're also, like I say, there was a truck pulled in one day. It was hopping around the Midwest in different locations, and it pulled up, and it was about half empty, and they filled up the whole. It was a big old semi, and they only stack them one high, but they filled up the whole, like it was over half. It was almost 2/3 of the semi was filled up with boxes. So they're working on it. They are working on it. Yeah.
Okay. Any other good news? Okay. Item 10 is correspondence and communication. We have a few things in our packet here.
A couple thank you letters that I thought you'd like to see. Our newest edition of Windmill City is in the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library Museum, which is the Historical Society Library in Springfield, and also a very nice thank you to our teen services librarian that I thought you'd enjoy seeing.
Okay. All right, any questions or comments on those? All right, so item 11, Director's Report. George, anything to highlight from your written report?
I actually have a couple things that aren't in the written report, although I think there's nothing special. I did have a question from a trustee about the library as a no-gun zone, so I wanted to just put into print why we are, for everybody's elucidation, and also reiterated the foundation grants, and I highlighted our holiday activities. Joanne may mention this, we're part of the Celebration of Lights Festival and have been for 15+ years. We also are a pickup site for the Batavia Access Toy Store, so we're very happy to participate in all of these community activities. But the two things I want to particularly highlight, the more mundane item is that the construction work in the meeting room AB will begin on Monday, November 25th, so next Monday. Because our goal is to have that room done, the soundproofing part of it at least, by the middle of December, which ties into my second announcement, which is that on December 19th, our next New Lyceum lecture series event is Batavian Kevin Jakubowski, who is related to one of our trustees, and he's a film and television writer now, and he has published his first book, which is, what is the name of that book? Hold on, I've got it in here someplace.
8-Bit Christmas.
8-Bit Christmas. It is in here someplace. I've got a whole paragraph. Oh, there it is right there. And he's going to be here at 7 o'clock on the evening of December 19th, and we're quite, which is a Thursday, and we're quite excited to have him here. His talk is titled Write What You Know, Stories from a Batavia Screenwriter. So I think we're quite excited about this. So this is a classic. The library is being opportunistic. We have a chance for a great program because Kevin will be in town, and we're very excited about this. So I encourage you, if you're in town, come by. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Is this your son, Lauren? Oh, how nice.
So that's my piece of the report. Stacy is not here today, but we do have a report from Joanne.
I'll start by sending around the a picture of the charging stations that the Friends, that the foundation gave us a grant for. It was something that Stacy and I and George saw at ALA this year. They're about the size of a music stand, and they will accommodate 8 devices for charging. And it's something that's becoming more and more popular. You see them quite a bit on college and university campuses, but it's something that we even see people, they plug in and are charging their battery on their laptop here. And we've had people charging in their phones and things like that. So we thought this would be a nice service, and our plan right now is to purchase 2 of them and have one upstairs here in the adult department and one in the youth services department, probably kind of in our play area where we have a lot of adults there with their children. And the beauty of those, if that particular design, is that it is very flexible. We can move it around if we find that another spot would be better. So we anticipate the patrons will be very excited about that, and we hope that they'll use them quite a bit. And we're very excited that the foundation was willing to give us a grant for that.
I don't have anything like it. Our graphic designer is producing custom graphics that will recognize the foundation as the donor of these stands.
That's a good idea.
And so we'll have the owl logo on it. And the library is launching into another piece of technology that I don't think we've used before, and that's where we'll have a QR code on there as well. So people that want to connect with the foundation can take a picture of the QR code right off the stand and be connected with the foundation. So very high tech.
Bookmark contest. The Youth Services annually in October runs a bookmark contest. I'll pass those around if you'd like to take one. You're welcome to. We have 20 children. We run this for grades 1 through 5, and we select out of over 600 entries I believe we had this year. We selected 20 designs, and of those 20 winners represent 8 of the Batavia schools. So we're very excited about that. We announce this annually at our late night program, so that's been our tradition that they're the first ones to know who the winners are. And actually 2 of the winners were at the program, so it was very exciting. And then they get their number of their bookmarks to take home for family and friends, and a paperback book. So they have been coming in this week, and they're very excited about it. I did want to mention our Nooks went out for circulation. You might remember that part of a per capita grant, we bought 20 Nooks. One of them is on the petting zoo. It's a Nook Simple Touch. And the adult services have loaded 7 Nooks with various titles on, and youth services has loaded 12 Nooks. And as of 6:30, just before I came up here this evening, 17 of the 19 Nooks were checked out. 1 had just been returned this evening, and then 1 was on the shelf there. So there's holds on a lot of them. So they're getting out there. We're trying to tell people about them. Michelle is PRing them. It was mentioned in the last e-newsletter. And people now, if you put in a particular title, if it's on a Nook, it will come up that it's on that Nook. So we're anxious to see how people like them, and people so far who have realized that we have them are like, oh, this is really cool. They might not have a device or are looking for a particular title and are happy to take the title on the Nook. So that's going out very well. I did want to mention, Stacy might have mentioned this had she been here, but on December 2nd, we're moving to our new catalog, Enterprise. Enterprise is replacing our current catalog, Cersei Dynex Classic, and the other format we have, Aqua Browser, which are no longer being supported. So Enterprise is coming up, and we are moving to that on December 2nd. So that is coming up very quickly.
Well, the classic catalog will still be available for the next at least 2 months.
Right. We'll keep, as we're doing now, we have Aqua Browser and Classic options for patrons. We'll do that for a while with Enterprise and Classic.
we're doing what they call a soft rollout.
Mhm,
A soft opening. It's very intuitive, but rather than make a big fuss over it, we're just letting people just come to it.
Right.
Just bring up all the libraries and link inside.
We had training for all the different departments, public service departments, so we're anxious to get that out. And then the last thing I wanted to say that I wanted to bring to your attention, we are doing Celebration of Lights, and I have my readers for that. Thank you very much. I have a full agenda of readers for that evening, and it should be great, December 1st. But I also want to mention Barnes & Noble Holiday Book Sale. Born to Read has benefited from the Barnes & Noble Holiday Book Sale for a number of years already. If you go shopping at Barnes & Noble during the holiday season, if you're asked when you go up to the cash register if you'd like to purchase a book for literacy. And you have a selection of books there. And every year, Kimberly, as a member of our Born to Read committee, has, through that program, has been able to donate a number of books to our Born to Read program, which has saved us quite a bit of money over the years, because we usually get at least 100 books every year. So this year we wanted to make sure, we have had some people who have said, hey, had I realized that, I would have done my shopping, at Barnes & Noble to purchase one of those books. So those books are available at Barnes & Noble at the Holiday Book Sale. We'll be posting them on our in-house display. We'll be having books bookmarks in-house for those specific titles, and it'll be noted in our next e-newsletter. So watch for those, and if you're doing any shopping at Barnes & Noble, pick a book. And if it doesn't come to Born to Read, it also goes to Fox Valley Literacy Volunteers. So both of them are very worthy causes, or other literacy organizations. So thank you. Any questions?
Carrie, when people check them out, do they go home in cases, or do they have a cover?
There's a little bag. You get a little zippered bag, and in that bag is a note that is yes in a case, and it has the charging, the plug-in, the charging cord, and everything you would need in that case. Yes. And then when you return it, you return the whole little zipper bag.
And you may have mentioned, so how long can they?
They're out for a month. For 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Just like our books.
Right, and there are a lot of titles on each Nook.
The adult titles have 7
right.
or so.
YS titles, there might be anywhere from a half a dozen to 15 or 16 titles on it.
Are publishers being more kind to libraries in regard to?
Well, Barnes & Noble, actually we purchased them through Barnes & Noble because we have an arrangement, and they have been doing this with other libraries, where while you might purchase download a book on your device and then you might share it or something like that, we cannot do that. So we can only purchase it for that one device. So it's like purchasing one copy of a book to have on our shelf. We can only purchase that copy. They're purchased for us, so we.
We actually own them.
Yes, we don't have to give them back or anything.
Because normal ebooks, you guys were only allowed to check those out a certain number of times before we have to renew the license for it.
Yeah, we're part of a consortium that we pay into the consortium, and all the libraries that are involved there's a pool of books, and those sort of come and go. Sometimes the licenses change and things like that.
It kind of depends on the publisher.
Okay.
Yeah, those are like leases, and these are
actual purchases.
Yeah, that's not to say that. I've heard that some of like Amazon, for example, can actually remove a book from your Kindle if it wants to. I don't know if there's any examples of that happening, but I suppose if something happened and someone wanted to like withdraw a book, there may be some technological way. But as far as I know, that's not an issue for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to piggyback on what Joanne was saying, that Barnes & Noble has been very generous, and that really, really has helped the Born to Read get to replenish our books. And I also met with a woman who is a PR person who works with Delnor, and she is hopefully going to pass our cards out to the new parents at the hospital. So finger crossed that that's going to happen. I met with her and gave her a stack of cards, so I'm hoping that's going to happen.
Do you know when the Barnes & Noble program starts?
It is already in
So
progress.
if you go buy a book today, it
Yep.
will have the opportunity. Okay,
Yep.
great.
So if you buy a certain book, can you explain
So-
that one more time?
Sure. And I can tell you the books. I didn't want to take too long, but I'm happy to do that.
Are we producing bookmarks?
Yes, Michelle just didn't have them done yet.
Right.
She and Hans were doing,
We have bookmarks, we'll give out
that will have the titles on them. But the 6 books that really benefit the Born to Read program are my first word book, A Touch and Feel Baby Animals, Where's Spot, 5 Little Monkeys, Read to Your Bunny, and The Little Mouse and the Red Ripe Strawberry and the Big Hungry Bear. So if you remember one of those titles. And then what you would do is at the cashier, they'll just ask, would you like to purchase a book? You know, for literacy is generally, I believe, how their tagline is. And then they'll have a display of books. So all of them might not be up there all the time. It kind of, they replenish the supply. And in fact, when I talked to Kimberly the other day, she had to order more of something. And, but then you could pick from that book, and then you just pay for it, and then they put it aside, and then even after the first of the year, then we usually get a box of books. Kimberly brings a box of books.
Okay. Right, so item 12 then, committee reports. So 12D is the Committee on Services, which I unfortunately missed earlier this month. Maybe Maureen, do you want to
Sure.
highlight anything from that
I
meeting?
think the only thing, the thing that we wanted to talk about was the cafe, because the new contract is here. So we just wanted to give the board members the opportunity to take a look at it. And I don't think, George,
Well, that's coming up later on the agenda, so.
okay, but there, so that's what I just need to say that we did. And there really wasn't anything
That was
a
pretty
big
much
change
it.
in that.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Maureen.
Mhm.
Okay, 12E is the Library Foundation. I know they announced their grants recently, but anything else to highlight, Kara?
Well, as was mentioned, the charging stations, they provided funds for that, and then additionally, more room in the neighbors of Batavia for that.
Okay.
Also, the audio-visual improvements to the meeting room. So those are some things, and we're looking forward to other fundraising activities. So we're kind of having a brainstorming session about that, which included some things like maybe having a bike ride, an adult spelling bee. Yes.
Wishing well.
Yeah, wishing well. Those are those little things that you throw the money in. So these are just some things that they've been throwing around.
Okay.
Yeah, some ideas.
Okay.
So we'll continue to work on that.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yep.
I told the foundation board that before we could put a spiral wishing well in the library, that if they wanted to buy one of those, they'd come to the board and get permission to put it in the library. Just, and Kara's a good gatekeeper for that too. 'Cause
Yeah.
They raise a pretty good amount of money, but they're colorful, so we have to decide where a good location.
It's very
One of many ideas that they're looking at.
Yes.
so, yeah.
Fun things.
Okay. All right. Okay. 12F is the Friends Group. Francine, anything to
Okay,
report there?
unfortunately, I was not able to attend that meeting.
Okay.
So George, do you have a report by any chance?
I was there. It was their last meeting for the year, and I think they basically had their usual reports. Their book sales are doing very well. Especially the corner book sale. They raise a lot of money now from the corner book sale.
They have one coming up in December.
The holiday book sale, I think,
Fifth
is.
or something, or-
Yes, the next book sale downstairs is the first Saturday, so that would be the 5th, I guess. And then we'll be putting out their holiday books for the upstairs book sale here pretty soon, and that usually is a great month or 6 weeks for them. So other than that, I think they just business as usual for them.
Okay. And then 12G is Link. Kara, anything to report on that?
Well, we voted to pretty much get rid of the current setup with the governing board. So having a trustee be a representative on that governing board, it will no longer be happening. So George will be our representation to that consortium. So it was a very short meeting. Anyway,
I think it increased the number of meetings I have to go to each year.
Yes,
so I want to thank you very much for that.
But if you need any additional help on a different
No, I
committee,
know.
let me know. Okay. But anyway, I don't know. And then you guys had a meeting shortly after that.
The next day we had the first meeting of the new board to elect officers and things like that. Basically, just carried over the existing officers from the administrative council. And that was pretty much all we did that day because it was a very short meeting, like an organizational meeting to keep everything flowing.
All right, so the Link transition is official and complete.
I should mention that probably the longest serving current librarian in Link, Diana Brown, the director of St. Charles, is retiring at the end of this year. And there's actually, they'll be having a reception, which I'll forward information on it when I get it.
In lieu of the Link Christmas party?
I have not heard that there is a Link Christmas party this year, so. So Diana will be missed. She's worked for that library for over, I want to say 33 or 34 years, and been director for probably 20 or more years there. So I'm guessing. So.
But they've already have a replacement.
They do have a replacement. I can't think of her name right now. But, so yeah, it's changes.
That's a change.
Okay. All right, item 13 is future agenda items. You have a memo in your packet. George, anything in particular to highlight there?
No, not really. There's no meeting in December, but we are already, keeping an eye on what's coming up in the new year. The technology plan will be January, February, and the community survey will be taking place pretty soon. So we'll have reports on that after.
Now, should we plan on committee meetings for December?
We typically haven't had committee meetings because there's no board meeting. So I haven't scheduled any. If you want to have some, we certainly could. But
well, I don't have any off the top of my head. I can't see a reason to. But in case that maybe early January might be worse than early December.
We can always call special meetings if we need to.
Okay.
Is there anything with facilities?
I just wonder, will we have any payment applications from the contractors?
No,
yet?
I don't expect to get any. We're almost only going to get like one, I think. It's not going to. We actually haven't started work. We've gotten architectural payment applications, but we process those internally, and those show up in your financial reports. But the actual contractors, we won't. I don't expect to see those until January.
Okay. Because the work, you said the work's going to start next week, but that's all under one contract, so.
Well, there's two contracts, but
but you're right. He's a sub to the other contractor, so until they finish all that work.
Yeah. Okay. I'd be very surprised unless they give us a preliminary one for equipment or something. I'd be very surprised to see.
Okay.
The other curious thing about December is that to get the packet out, it would have to be sent out the week of Thanksgiving, which it actually makes the way the calendar works. It makes it rather awkward because of staffing and things. So the lack of a board meeting and the awkward schedule in terms of getting the packets out, I don't think we've had December committee meetings my whole tenure.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. All right. Okay, item 14 is the cafe lease. So the board may recall that Steve Kilberg, doing business as Chapters Coffee House and Cafe, took over the existing lease from 10 South Coffee House. That was probably just a few months ago. Now, so there was no, that that 10 South Coffee House lease was set to expire December 31st. Chapters accepted that as part of taking over that lease, but of course wants to continue to do business, and presuming that we think he's doing a good job, you know, we can continue to rent the space essentially to him and his company. So, Maureen, anything to highlight in particular from the committee discussion?
I don't think so, George. Was there a change?
Well, he asked for like a 5-year lease, and we talked about that.
Yes, and what the recommendation is for 3 years, just to give us a chance to review his performance sooner than 5 years.
Okay.
But the rent's the same. Basically, the
Lease is the same.
right, it's the same.
Okay.
But we just wanted everyone to take a look at it.
Okay. So essentially, we're talking about a 3-year extension of is it exactly the same lease, or did
No,
we-
it's really a new lease because we changed, of course, the names throughout and
Okay.
and that sort of thing. And the only on page 2 and section D3, I highlighted just a few things.
D3.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not in the lease, in the cover.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. Where you
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just highlight a few things that we discussed. But nothing, you know, other than the term, we changed, of course, the name of the cafe and all those sorts of things. But beyond that, it's pretty much exactly the same.
So we pay, they pay, we charge them a set fee for utilities? Is that correct?
It's included in it's considered part of their rent.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So
they're
in other
actually-
words, utilities are billed to us, and then we, in turn,
Right.
agree in the lease that we will, does that increase on a monthly basis if our costs increase, or?
No, if you'll look at, on the page 2 of my cover report, section D2, I've got a comparison of our out-of-pocket cost to rent. And historically, the board has looked at this not as a profit center, but as a good public service. So the goal was to at least make enough money so that we're not really paying anything out of pocket. And the calculation indicates that he's paying us in rent, I would say significantly more than what we would estimate our out-of-pocket costs are for utilities. So.
Okay, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is that if there's an estimate that in Batavia, the electric utility rates are supposed to really be, increases are supposed to be substantial next year. So that's the only reason I brought it up.
Right.
But if you feel like it's more than covering then everything, then
He's not a
to worry.
particularly large user of electricity. I mean, he does have the espresso machine, but
and probably refrigeration and things like
yeah.
that, right?
But I think compared, he's only 700 square feet out of our 54,000. So
Right, right.
When the cafe was built out, the board at that time did not have separate meters or anything put in for anything. So
Mhm.
we almost have no easy way to track usage, so we just went on a square footage basis.
Mhm.
Based on that, we're doing okay.
Okay.
And that we added, after the original lease had begun, at some point, the previous tenant, we added pest control services, and that rate really hasn't changed. We're asked to the extra $35. In addition to the $500, there's a $35 a month charge for that, and it actually is more than covering the proportionate cost of that. So, yeah.
All right.
And I see here, I guess I never knew this, that we require the cafe to be closed if the library is closed. Is there any particular reason for that?
We would actually allow them, in the past, there have been times when the cafe owners wanted to open like at 6 or 6:30 or 7 to capture traffic. And the 2 previous owners were unsuccessful at that. The main reason is more of a security issue than anything else. And also the fact that none of the 3 cafe owners have actually wanted that. In fact, they all have closed early, and so we were allowing them to close up to an hour before. Their current hours are an hour before we close Monday through Friday, and then at the same time as closing them. And he's actually, the owner or a staff member is often here later doing either cleaning or prep work or things like that. They're just not open for business. But yeah, I would love to see them open even earlier than 8:30. They open a half hour before the library proper opens. So we open the lobby because of that, because the health department requires access to restrooms. And so the cafe, the restrooms are off the lobby, so we can open the lobby and keep the rest of the library closed.
So really, if we allowed him or his company to open at 6, we'd have to have someone here at 6 to open that lobby, essentially.
Essentially.
Is that the implication?
Yeah, that is the implication.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other possibility might be that if they were trying to attract additional business, driving by traffic, they might want to put some kind of electronic sign up. That would open up another kind of discussion, right, about what we would allow to
Well,
have.
that'd be a discussion with the city,
That would
actually,
be a
yeah.
discussion. Well,
Yeah.
I meant even in a window, or I don't even know if they have
They
a window.
they have a neon sign that faces toward
Oh, they
the
do?
avenue
Okay.
on the top part of their outside door. Transom is glass, and that apparently is legal, didn't require a permit.
That's okay.
Yeah. But you can't have a portable arrow sign or any of those kind of fancy things that the city
Or
is.
a person out there in a bunny suit or something.
I think you can do that. But based on Randall Road, apparently you can do that, but I'm not.
Statue of Liberty. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments on the proposed lease? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I so moved.
Okay. Moved by Blodgett and second by Schuster. I guess a roll call, please.
Deidre,
Aye.
Von Luden,
Yes.
Blodgett,
Yes.
Jackowski.
Yes.
McGuire Papick,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Schuster, yes.
Okay.
The final note about the cafe, the sign still says 10 South Coffee House, and he is working with Joe Gagnon, Art by Joseph, too, who actually did the previous sign. He's in addition to being a fine artist, he's a commercial sign painter as well. And Steve is getting proposals from Joe, and in the lease says that we will pay half the cost, but we have the right to approve the design. And when I see the design, I can consult with you or whatever you want to do. I think the previous time, just the board president and I made a decision on that, just to make sure we had oversight.
Okay.
We have right of final approval of what goes on. So.
And I guess if he wanted a 5-year extension, that must mean that things are going pretty well for him. So that's good news for us. Okay. All right. Item 15 is a closed session for the purposes of discussing litigation. Do I hear a motion to adjourn open session?
I so move.
Second.
Second by Schuster. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We are recessing into closed session.